Games Workshop are going to need to make some big changes as to how they do things because they are facing some radically different competition from the olden days. The future is here and it is now. And what is this future? Lizards. Let me explain. So I was painting some lizard men the other day and I painted this model. Look at him. He's a dinosaur riding a dinosaur. What more could anyone want? Seriously, if this doesn't excite you even a little, then I'm afraid you have no joy in your soul. You have forgotten the face of your father and you should speak to your local undertaker for a job. That's not all. Check out this little guy. He's packing quite a lot of meat, if you get my drift. Just the way discourse likes him. That could be misconstrued, couldn't it? Seriously though, I can appreciate a good steak. And these lizard men, these saurians, are the best lizard man equivalent models that I have ever painted before. And not in terms of the paint jobs, but what actually impressed me is not my mediocre skill, but rather the sculpts of the models themselves. They're sculpted beautifully. The Aztec aesthetic is masterfully done. The sculpts themselves are incredibly clean. There was zero cleanup required. There was no mold lines at all, and the depth of detail is just amazing. And they're pretty ornate too. They make for an interesting painting challenge. There's plenty of straps and little gold plates for you to pick out at, but not so much that you get bogged down while painting the miniatures. The entire line is beautiful. Really impressed me. Okay, and I'm gonna get to the point. I hear what you're saying. There are plenty of beautiful miniatures out there. Shut up, discourse. But the thing that makes these particularly impressive is that they weren't created in a factory in Nottingham. They were created in my living room. Or well, my beautiful veranda. They came from my own factory, my mini factory, my 3D printer. I got these as digital files from One Page Rules and I printed them like you would print your TTS reports. You know, so if you could have those done by Saturday, that'd be great. That's kinda wacky, and I know that some people still consider 3D printing to be a little bit illicit, a little bit murky, or even lacking in quality in some way. That may have been true once, but it's definitely not anymore. All you need to do is point them to these models. These models are as good, or if not better, than a lot of miniatures I have purchased from retailers. Yes, including Games Workshop. And actually, the other day I showed these models to my friend who had never seen a 3D printed model before, and he was astounded at the level of quality on these. Seriously, he's seen my hillbilly setup I've got going here. He couldn't believe it. It's like when you have your first taste of moonshine and you don't go blind. Suddenly the world is your oyster. And aside from the price of the resin, which is in all honesty pretty negligible, these models, I didn't pay any money for them. I mean, not really. No, I did not do a cyberpunk and steal the digital files from the man. I would never admit to such a thing on camera. No, I got them sort of incidentally. See, I'm a member of the One Page Rules Patreon, specifically a tier 2 member of their Patreon. And as a member of that Patreon, I get every single month sent to me a bundle into my Mini Factory account. And it is a ton of content, like an unbelievable amount of content. Here's this month's. Yeah, kind of overwhelming, right? And this isn't some premium, expensive membership. This only costs me $10 a month. And I get all this content handed to me. And this month, it just so happened to be dinosaurs riding dinosaurs and giant Japanese dragon mechs. Seriously, check out this Dragon Titan model from a traditional manufacturer like Games Workshop. It would cost 10 times the price that I got it for. And that would be by itself, but it came alongside so much other stuff. This is like a Netflix subscription, except you want to watch everything. And here's the real kicker. One Page Rules have a huge library of miniatures. And these models are all affordably priced. You can get links in the description of this video. And these are all incredible. And if you are a member of the Patreon, you get a big discount on those. Baby, a 50% discount in fact, some of the time. Most of the time, it's a 70% discount, like right now, this month, April. If you plan on buying any of these miniatures at all, then I would recommend that you get into the Patreon. It just makes sense. It saves you a lot of cash. Seriously, the Patreon this month is, if you pay $10, you get access to all of this month's Saurian models, and then 70% off all the previous Saurian Lizardman models. meaning that for $34 you get everything, the entire Lizardman range that has been released so far. All the stuff they've ever made, that's over 50 models for $34. That's less than $1 a model. That's nuts. And as I said, the quality of these things is matching a company like Games Workshop. Do you see the problem for Games Workshop? And going even further, here's why I really love the One Page Rules Patreon model. It's better than a subscription. Once you cancel your Patreon access, you don't lose everything that you've already paid for. You still get to keep that. You get to keep all your previous months. Take that, PlayStation Plus. So it's just a ton of value. It's an absurdly good deal. And One Page Rules have really pioneered this pretty radical model for the miniatures marketplace. This is a new digital 3D space. It's pretty awesome. And I like that they have planted their flag here and made it so consumer friendly. As someone who has been inside the Games Workshop ecosystem for almost 2 decades now, it's a breath of fresh air, let me tell you. I love not having to constantly put up with gnarly prices that only make sense in the boardroom of a sausage factory. And that was what I was thinking when I was painting these models. That and how much better they look than the Seraphim models from Games Workshop. Seriously, those Games Workshop sculpts have not aged well. The only thing that's been updated for them has been their copyrightable name. And look, real talk here. This reminds me of the 2000s when the traditional DVD and music industry ran into digital distribution. There is a growing pain when a traditional industry is forced to confront a completely new paradigm of doing things.
And while bronze may be terribly clever, stone was all my old dad ever needed.
And traditional companies don't always recognize when the world has changed and that we can't go back to the old ways of doing things. The genie has been taken out of the bottle. And as Christina Aguilera wisely said, you gotta rub me the right way. I wrote this script. And some companies will survive and others won't. The ones who can adapt will, and the ones who can't, won't. And let's all be honest here, regardless of your feelings of Games Workshop, whether you're a fan or whether you're not, they have been historically reluctant to embrace new ways of doing things. Putting that pretty diplomatically there. They are the proverbial swordsman who never gets upgraded beyond Epoch 3 in Empire Earth. Like seriously, we're talking about a company here that stopped selling PDFs of their dozens, their hundreds of rule books because they were worried about piracy. Seemingly in contrast with every single other company in the world that has ever had to produce some form of book. We take one step further back and these guys are going to be worried about the translation of the Bible from Latin. They weren't wrong though, Martin Luther was a bit of a menace. Is there a funnier conflict than the Protestant Reformation? Games Workshop haven't caught up with 2012, never mind 2022. Warhammer is for everyone, they say. Yeah, right. Tell that to the blind players who relied on PDF screen readers for their rules and codices. So how well are they going to do against a company that is offering $10 for all of this? Games Workshop's reluctance to change and seeming inability or desire to get involved in the 3D printing market is gonna mean that they're in for some tough times ahead. I suspect that they're gonna get left behind, and I'm worried for Games Workshop, but not for hobbyists, not for wargamers. Not while we have Lizardman like this, or giant f***ing mech suits like this thing. Seriously, check this guy out. These are top quality miniatures at a fraction of the price from Games Workshop. Things are looking great for miniature hobbyists. And just to be clear, this video is sponsored by One Page Rules. And they did send me some Lizardman for free for this video. But I didn't get a chance to review those new Lizardman because I was going through my backlog of their patron models. Because I am actually a member of their patron. And regardless of whether or not I was being paid for this video, I was gonna practice some sweet as f wet blends on those lizards. Seriously, I am really proud of myself for these sweet little blends. And my opinion on this radical new distribution model and this new framework from which we can view miniatures, that would be all unchanged. This is my earnest belief. And look, Games Workshop will likely attempt to enter the digital space one day. They're risking a really big loss of market share if they don't. And we don't know the specifics of what that will look like, but looking at the history of Games Workshop, we can kinda guess, right? No doubt they will seek to control the hobby in some capacity. Likely they would continue to keep it exclusionary and very expensive. They would want their digital files to be available only to those who can pay the premium price. To put it bluntly, I don't think we can ever expect Games Workshop to embrace this patron model that One Page Rules utilize. And that's because it's too good, it's too great value for money. Games Workshop don't like that. And for that reason, I'm not sure if Games Workshop can ever really compete with a company like One Page Rules. And therefore, I don't know if Games Workshop can really survive in the digital 3D printing space. Because this market, it's already being shaped by creators like One Page Rules. This creator is selling hundreds of miniatures for $10 a month, and they're falling over themselves to give away discounts every single month at every opportunity. Hell, One Page Rules platform other creators. Every single month that I have been a member of their Patreon, they have given away models, STL files, created and designed by other mini makers. OPR simply collaborate with them to help them build up an audience. Imagine Games Workshop doing that. Imagine Games Workshop giving away the miniatures of another company just to help that other company get some exposure. What wonderland would that be? That's absurd to think about, right? So I just don't think the Games Workshop can control the 3D digital space the same way that they have sort of tried to control the 3D meat space. 3D printers are too cheap now, and competition is too fierce. And this is where the future of miniatures lies, in my humble opinion. In the digital realm, brought to life physically through home printing, brought to you by creators like One Page Rules. And if you really want to see a breakdown of the value of a One Page Rules model against the value of a Games Workshop model, well then check out this video here. I just so happen to do that, and as always, a big thanks to my patrons, especially Steven Jackson and Earthwormia. Thank you so much. And a thanks to the sponsor of this video, One Page Rules. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye! Damn it, did I miss the opportunity to make a Games Workshop or dinosaurs joke? That's disappointing.